What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the One Up Podcast. My name, as always, is Milos Bukarica. With me, we've got my main co-host here, George Martinez, executive producer and in-house writer, Manuel Gaona. And with us today, Mr. John Francis McCullagh.
Hello.
He is everything and anything. This dude is the master of it all. He just put out his first feature film, right? And it is amazing. You guys should watch it. We actually have a link down below. Today, we're going to talk about kind of his process of things and how we got into the stuff. You know, just the basic whole thing, what you always do. So what's up, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself. So tell us a bit about who you are and what.
How can I top your introduction of me? Yeah, like I said, I'm John Francis McCullagh, writer, actor, director, producer, editor, all sometimes minor VFX, whatever I got to do to make the film happen. But yeah, I'm here to talk about my debut feature film, I guess directorial debut, Dead Hand.
Hell yeah, man. And yeah, we actually had a chance to watch it. You sent us a screener copy. I liked it so much, actually, I'm buying it on Amazon because I was like, it's actually peak. You know, a lot of times, let's just kind of explain to people what the movie is real quick.
Yeah, so it's a martial arts action comedy. Kind of the log line is Johnny Mai must team up with Agent Owen Flynn to take down an international terrorist on the verge of gaining nuclear power.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, man, that is awesome. So let's just go back a little bit. Start off with just like what brought you into the journey of filmmaking in general.
In general, oh man, I wanted to be a film director since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
I grew up in a house of artists. You know, my brothers are both musicians, and one of them is an amazing painter. The other is a great artist as well. My sister's a great artist. My father was a photographer, and he actually ran for several years the Dallas-Fort Worth Adobe Users Group.
Oh.
And so Adobe was like, hey, here's the free complete creative suite. And so early high school, he just put one of the licenses on my laptop and I started editing. I was upgraded from Pinnacle Studios to Premiere. So that was pretty sweet. Oh, and my mother was an English major. So I just kind of grew up in a house of art and always loved movies. And you know, maybe it was some other film, but I remember it being Jurassic Park. Of like, I want to do this. I want to be a movie maker, as I would call what directors were as a kid. And then over the years, just kind of making home movies, I fell in love with acting as well, for better or worse. And yeah, so I write, act, and direct.
Beautiful, man. Hell yeah. And so when did you actually start kind of pursuing that more as a, I don't know, as a 4-year-old is like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have a full-time gig or is this what you do full-time?
Aiming to make this my full-time. I've got a day job, of course. I work with my wife, Courtney. She runs her own social media agency. So we work with clients on planning out and posting for their social media.
So that's still related in the field, I would say, I mean, especially these days.
Definitely,
and that's
yeah.
something that can absolutely help you with, you know, actually getting your stuff out there. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from her. So
nice how it actually all brings in. Hell yeah, man.
Is she helping you right now with promoting the film too?
Oh yeah, she's always sharing my stuff. You know, she's my biggest cheerleader, biggest fan. And she actually has a cameo in the film. Raven, my analyst.
Oh,
So luckily the chemistry came off on screen as well. But yeah, she's always helped me however she can. She's amazing. So
it's always good to have some help with marketing because that's something we struggle with too, as far as like the podcast. So, but we try and share as much as we can and try to keep it up to date. But sometimes we've taken some hiatus. So what we started doing is like making clips from our longer videos.
Nice, smart.
And trying to share that more and link it back to the original videos.
Yeah.
But right now we finally set up a website, so hopefully we could share more on there and start
great, yeah.
We started like creating a blog on there. So we got a blog going, and then we started just offering like the services we have. Like we'll rent out this podcast studio and help somebody else like record their own episodes, start their own podcast.
There you go. Sweet. I'll definitely be sharing the podcast when this episode comes out for sure. So.
Oh, thank you.
Hell yeah, man. We're hoping to have a quick turnaround just because your movie just dropped on Amazon. What all did it drop on? Just Amazon, or did you put it on other places?
It looks like it's on Google Play and for rent on YouTube Movies. We might end up on a few more platforms, maybe by the time this is out. And you can pre-order the Blu-ray and DVD on Amazon right now. That should come out on June 4th.
Hell yeah! Well, shit, I got to do that too now. I like my physical copies.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Like anytime I ended up buying that Ghost Lights too, just because like I wanted to have like a physical thing.
Thank you. Sweet. Yeah.
Because yeah, I absolutely. Now, have I watched it? I've been busy. I did make sure this was sorry, but yeah, especially because yeah, with Ghost Lights too, we also had the director on. We also had one of the actors on, stuff like that. Yeah, it was amazing. Hopefully, maybe we can have somebody else from this movie on too later on in a couple of weeks, whatever. That'd be nice. But yeah, so speaking of this movie, where did the idea come from?
Oh man, so kind of a bit of it came from like a producer's mindset of I need to make a movie. Timothy and I were fortunate enough to be able to get on phone calls and kind of get in the room with some potential financiers, producers that had some good credits to their name, because we were seeking to make our first features, and kind of the vibe, whether it was outright said or not, it was like, cool, yeah, you got some cool short films, but what features have you done? And so it kind of came to the point where I was like, all right, I'm 30, I haven't made a feature film yet, and all these producers keep asking, what other features have you made? It's like a catch-22. Like, well, we're talking to you. We need your money to make the movie, but they need a movie before they give us the money. So I was like, all right, let's pull a Robert Rodriguez and each make a feature film. Just do the best we can. If nothing else, just to prove to these people that, hey, like, yeah, we can see a concept from start to finish. So from there, part of the inspiration was I love spy thrillers. Martial arts action is like my favorite type of action. And I started doing research on doomsday devices, like real, try to find real ones. And I came across the Dead Hand, which Russia hasn't officially confirmed it, but Russian officials who have left and come to the U.S. have basically confirmed it's a real thing. And so I was like, that sounds like a pretty fun MacGuffin. What if there was a device I could hack into it, so we could have it, kind of here with us, as opposed to trying to film in Russia. And it kind of came from there. I was tempted to make it more of a serious thriller at first, but I was like, you know what? If I can make it funny, it might make it a little more enjoyable. If any of the indie stuff is a little obvious, so if I can make them have a good time, they might be a little more forgiving if I fail on some things. So that was the initial inspiration for it. Yeah.
Very intelligent. Very good.
What's the producer mindset behind it? Because it's kind of like working on indie stuff, and it's like kind of Robert Rodriguez stuff. You're like, you kind of look for the things that are around you that you could use. So what was kind of the stuff similar like that to that you used?
Yeah, it was, I think probably the biggest thing was just knowing I had like Brandon Yates, the lead of the film.
Yeah.
He was my collaborator on a lot of like short films, like martial arts short films we did, and I met him through my kung fu school, and I knew he wanted to pursue acting, and we'd already done a few fight scenes together, so I knew I had him, and of course Timothy's support, and from there it was just kind of like the two of us kind of figuring out the fight scenes and seeing who else we could get involved, and then the biggest part was figuring out locations. The Owen safe house was my apartment. And then we did a few guerrilla shots here and there, and other places was technically public property. And then the big warehouse at the end, I guess throughout the film, one of our kung fu classmates owns that, and so he gave us a good deal on shooting there, which I think upped the production value a lot. So yeah, some of it was like, what do I have already? And some of it was like, what do I know or am confident I can kind of get?
Yeah.
We got lucky in a lot of regards because a lot of the cast, we didn't know them before this, or we barely knew them, and they came in very passionately and kind of gave it their all. And so I was very fortunate for that. So.
You said your kung fu school. Do you have a kung fu school that you attend to, or did you?
Yeah. It's Lee's White Leopard. You can go to leeswhiteleopard.com to learn more about it. They teach kung fu, tai chi, and bagua. And Master Lee, he's maybe one of the last true kung fu masters.
Nice.
On the last frame of the film, I know you have a shot where it's like the the wall that's behind Brandon, it has a picture of somebody with Jackie Chan.
Yeah, so that person with Jackie Chan is my master Lee.
Okay, Master
Yeah.
Lee.
So that was the school we shot at was actually our sister school, Wu Yi Shaolin, out in, I always get Carrollton and the other city name.
Richardson?
No.
Oh, no.
So my school's in Richardson, technically. I think it's Carrollton. Anyways, that's our sister school, so we shot there for that. But yes, that's with Jackie Chan in that picture is my Master Lee. So
That's
I'll-
cool, man.
And you've been doing martial arts for how long?
on and off for about 10 plus years. Yeah.
So you think you'll bring some of that martial arts aspect into every single movie that you kind of produce and film?
That's my hope. Yeah.
What's your hope? Yeah, everyone needs something to ground on, you know. So that's great.
Like I love a good, Western action film that focuses on like explosions and car chases and stuff. And I definitely, as I can hopefully increase my budgets, I want to incorporate those. But the base of my films, I want solid action. So
it was good.
I
man.
learned a lot from shooting this film. So the martial arts in my next film is going to be hopefully 10 times better.
No, that's what I really appreciated more about the film out of anything else. Like the fight scenes were legit awesome.
Thank you.
I was like, okay, it's a 2-minute fight. Okay, it's going on more and it's getting better, more intense at the same time. And I'm like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. Like he has some passion for kung fu or mixed martial arts. I can definitely see that in the film.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
I enjoy that so much. So thumbs up, 2 thumbs up.
I saw that I was looking at the credits. So your lead actor looks like he's the one who was the head of choreography, right? So, or at least that's what.
Yeah. So he and I. I'd say he was probably like 60%. I was about 40%. And then for the scenes that had Nico, he contributed a lot as well.
Yeah, and is he also he also seems to be holding himself pretty well. Is he also one of the students as well?
Yeah, he went to one of our sister schools in like Louisiana, and then he moved to Dallas for a bit, and so he kind of came to our school, and that's how Brandon met him, and that's kind of how we got in contact with him. But he also studies wushu, and some other martial arts as well.
Yeah, man.
So he brought some more into the mix.
Absolutely, yeah. As Manuel said, it's probably my favorite part of the movie is the fighting. It was done so well, and even the editing on the fighting, bro. You outdid yourself.
Thank you.
Like that. Like very, very, very little you can kind of complain about looking at that movie with editing wise. Perfection.
I love to hear it.
Very nice.
And everybody in that, well, the main characters, I'm gonna ask you were in there, right? You yourself, the other guy, what's his name?
Which one?
What's the question you're trying to ask?
well, the question I'm trying to ask is, you're all connected, right? The main antagonist, kind of his best friend in the movie. How do you know
the Russian?
No,
character?
the best friend who turns against him.
There's one Nick, the actor for
Nico?
Nick, yeah.
Nico, yeah. How do you know him?
Oh, that I was just saying. We met him through the sister school, and he came to Dallas.
Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
But I do have a fun story about the lead villain, Matthias Frost.
Yeah, go on.
So I used to work. Did you guys ever hear of Screwtack.com?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to work for them. Then they got absorbed by Rooster Teeth, and I didn't feel like moving to Austin. So my last day was when their last day was in the Dallas office. But I did my friend Sean Boland and I, who I got to have a cameo in the opening of the film. We did a web series for Screw Attack called The Industry, and for the season finale, we just kind of went off script and kind of decided to do a John Woo parody. And like you can't really find it online anymore, unfortunately. Maybe I can talk to the guys and they can dig it back up. It's fun. But our friend Angel, he used to kind of work with us. He was a Air Force veteran, and he would come to our conventions and be the director of Awesome. And so his whole job was like rallying people together and keeping them excited for like 72 hours straight. And he saw our John Woo parody and he was like, I want to be the villain in the next season finale. And so we even like met up at the office when he was in town, and like we started doing choreography, and we wrote a whole script for every episode of the second season. But then Rooster Teeth canceled the second season, so we never got to make it. So we never got to have him be our villain.
Oh no.
And it's like, someday, like I really want to have you be my villain someday. And so when I was putting together Dead Hand, I tried to reach out locally first just to make it easier, especially because it was also like during the pandemic. Which we took all the proper precautions. No one got sick from our set. And the first guy asked, he wasn't able to do it. And I was like, man, who is going to be Frost? And I was like, what if Angel were still available? So I texted him. I was like, hey, man, how you doing? And legit, the first thing he says is, hey, man, do you need a villain?
Nice.
And I'm like, yes, I actually
waiting
do.
for that call.
Yeah. And at first he's like, oh man, I'm in Florida. I don't know if I can do it. And then he was like, no, wait, I'm going to make it happen. So he bought his own plane ticket and he got his own Airbnb, rented his own car and everything. Like he essentially invested in the film and he came out and, you know, like a big part of this film was like, I just had to make a movie.
Yeah.
If it's bad, okay. I as a director and a producer need that experience. So I knew Angel would do all right because like similar to the Frost role, he had that experience of rallying people together and getting them excited for a cause. Mm-hmm. So my hope was like, all right, just take that and kind of make it evil. So I figured he would do okay at least. And I knew he had the background in Kyokushin karate. But man, he did a great job.
Yes.
Not just with the fight scenes, but with the acting too.
Mm-hmm.
It was intense.
And you know, he's gone on now to take acting classes, and he's really kind of pursuing acting really hard. So I'm gonna try to work with him again wherever I can. Not just because he's a friend, but like he really proved himself.
Oh yeah.
In my eyes, at least. So.
Oh yeah, he was committed. He did all that for you.
Yeah.
He's been waiting for that big break.
He was a really good actor, man. I think my favorite actor out of the whole thing was the guy who played Mr. Gray. Oh my god, bro!
that
Yeah.
guy was awesome.
funniest character, great delivery. Like, love that dude. How'd you meet that guy?
Oh man! So once again, kind of through Screw Attack, he was a friend of some of my coworkers, and he is when he's on, and he just like will not stop. The first time I met him, he just started riffing on this like book about Texas, just making fun of every page of it. And you know, we got along because we're both artists in our own right. His big focus for a long time has been music, and still is. And you know, just kind of knowing him and how he would just kind of randomly go into skits, I knew he could act, you know, well enough. And so at first I cast him as like a goon, honestly. And I had originally meant Mr. Gray for my friend Sean because like I have some projects down the line that hopefully I can get him as like a main character. But you know, Sean runs the streaming channel Hang Time, so he's just like constantly busy. So I knew after writing the character, I was like, hey, I actually kind of need you for like maybe a week's worth of filming. And he was like, yeah, I can't do that. So I was like, all right, I'll think of a role that I can do in a day. And so he ended up being my boss in the opening of the film, which took us like half a day to shoot. I was like, well, now I need a Mr. Gray. So I honestly took a chance on Daniel Vincent Galvin, and he was like, all right. He was way more anxious than he let on because he went from like maybe 4 lines to, I mean,
Yeah.
he had a whole history lesson in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really came alive. And I retroactively mentioned him more in the film after I started shooting with him because it's like I want him to feel like more of an important character than he originally was. But yeah, he lit up the screen, and you know, I'm honestly training him in martial arts now so that
Oh my God.
in the next role he can not just take hits but deliver them too.
Yeah, so honestly, that's one of my favorite comedic moments in the film. Is like when he first shows up, you're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
He's so fucking serious. Like, this is gonna be a fucking serial killer, murderer, or some shit. And then he comes on, and then just the role he has, I'm like, this is like, it kind of fits what it is, but it also kind of just completely flips it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's amazing. So he was my favorite part of the whole movie, except
He's
for
a
the
crowd
fighting.
favorite.
Except for the fighting.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts with him is, and he committed to that face plant. We
Yes!
obviously had pads
Yes!
just out of frame, but man, we did 3 takes of that, and each time he went full force for it. I was like, and it always makes me laugh, and it always gets a crowd reaction. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
So
There were a couple of drops like that I noticed throughout the film. Because one of them, when the warehouses fight, some guy does that too, where he just
yeah.
completely lets himself drop.
Yeah, I in After Effects, I took out his hand that like went out to brace. Daniel, he just went full plank and fell. So didn't have to touch it up at all.
what went into thinking about the choreography or the stunts for the film? What was the planning behind it?
Yeah, so we tried to, as best we could with our experience and our knowledge, incorporate some character motivations into it. So for one, we didn't want me looking like I moved exactly like Johnny, because in real life we train in the same martial art.
Yeah.
So I'm just now like properly getting into like grappling as best I can. But I wanted to give my character, just to differentiate us, like a little more of a, not so much a strict MMA style, but just a little more of an MMA flair, and keep the kung fu to Johnny.
There was one move that like I never seen. They usually give it to the women, like the Black Widow, where she like spins over their head and like uses the momentum to throw people down. Like, this is the first time I seen a guy do it. I was like, I almost never see this like on non-female characters. But that was like a really cool move. It just looks cool, like flying over them and like swinging them back down.
Yeah, I forget the name of the film at the moment. But I got the idea from a Hong Kong film where a man does do it there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, a lot of times I do have women do those moves because like the rationale is that because they're smaller, they have to
they're using more momentum
more around to get the weight in there.
That's what I was noticing about the Asian character. I'm like, well, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't quite make the wisest moves and the wisest decisions when it comes to the point he's fighting.
Yeah.
But he always finds a way to sneak around, so I was kind of enjoying that too. Plus that time when he was on the floor, Agent Frost, and you went in for well, he's on the floor, and I think the agent standing up right on top of him. He goes in for an armbar, and I'm like, okay, now that's funny, but that's kind of like, is that part of the comedy or what?
Yeah. Like, we tried to, I don't want my character to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like The Rock and Vin Diesel in the Fast movies, they have it in their contract that the fight choreographers had to come up with a point system for how much, like, kind of like a video game, honestly, for how much damage each hit does. And the two of them had to come out equally.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that. Like, I aspire to Jackie Chan's motto of like, the hero has to get hurt, otherwise what's the challenge?
Yeah.
So I tried to, my character didn't make the best decisions all the time, but he loved the pursuit of the fight.
Yeah.
There were times when he could have killed more people, but he tried to keep that to, so like, logistically it would have been easier, but he tried to limit the amount of people he killed because he doesn't want to kill people. He wants to fight them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the choreography, though. The agent, he was like the one I enjoyed the most, because I'm like, oh, what is he going to get into now? And how is he going to get out of it? Because I'm like, he's going to get into this, out of it like this. I'm like, okay, that was something clever, but it was interesting to watch, man. It was really good.
When they went into planning for the choreography to figure out the motivations or the movements, do you guys plan it out, like kind of write out on the script and then like do it on set and try and figure it out, or what was the planning like?
Yeah, so I try to write the arc of the fight in the script, and if I have like a specific like beat in mind, I'll put it in there. But when I never want to get too like play by play in the script, because then it turns into 10 pages, and the average reader, even the non-average reader, is gonna get bored.
Well, it's kind of like I don't know if you've ever like listened to like Sylvester Stallone talk about Rocky, but they said he would, for the movie, for the script itself, he just like kind of writes out the fight, but not kind of vaguely.
Yeah.
But whenever he's like planning it, he'll like actually write things out on the page, and to the point where he like maps out every footstep.
Yeah, so we do that in a sense. Like I said, I'll write the arc of the fight in the script. And then we'll use that as the basis so we know where we're going. And then we'll do essentially like a live storyboard. And we'll film our choreography.
Kind of do a rough rough draft film of it.
Exactly. Ideally, I would then go back and like shoot it shot for shot. Like for short films, that's what I would do. Because ironically, I had more time for short films than I did for the feature. And sometimes more money. But I would go back, with Brandon and shoot the actual angles I wanted, so we could rehearse for those angles, and on the day of, we had less to think about. But for this one, we only, because we had such a limited crew and it was during the pandemic, our rough drafts were literally just my phone on a tripod, getting a wide shot, and then on the day of, I had to like, okay, I want this angle now and this section. But yeah, so we'll write the arc and then storyboard, kind of live storyboard is how we kind of approach the fight scenes.
Yeah. So
yeah, writing actually could be tricky. I wrote a feature myself, but that was a long time ago. It was like 16, 17. I wrote a feature worth of 160 pages, and I think, yeah, it's pretty long. Yeah. And I think out of those 150 pages, 7 pages are total action moves of the fighting sequences. I mean, they were really detailed too. They're like super detailed. I'm like, I know if I ever do film this, it's never going to be exactly as this.
Yeah.
But I want my reader at least to kind of visualize what it's going to look like. So if someone ever does buy it, they know they're not just going to buy any kind of baloney, or, like I'm actually going to put some effort and say, well, the action has to be intense. And I'm just going to put actor 1, actor 2, villain 1, villain 2 fight, and next page.
Yeah.
Fight's over. It's really tricky to add that to the script. But when it comes down to it, you're like you said, you just want everybody just to kind of feel their way, right? Kind of.
Yeah. Like I said, if I have like a specific move of mine that's like a moment in the fight, as opposed to just like, a cool thing to happen. If it's like a moment that helps turn the beat of the fight, I'll put that in. And
you definitely aim for that, because I saw that with the slow motions. When I don't want to give too much of the movie away, but there was a lot of slow motion shots where I'm like, that was a nice shot. I can tell that was in the script, and that was planted in the script, and he stuck to it because of the way that you slow-moed it or angled it. It was really great.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we did something kind of similar where you talked about the basic kind of previewing your action shots. This is kind of a spoiler for a feature guest here. One of our friends, he's back here now, used to be in Kansas, made a animated feature film called Left Hook about a boxer, basically, and it was fully animated. But I remember setting up for the movie, we actually shot a bunch of the previous stuff for boxing in person, so he could go ahead and translate that over into animation. And I thought that was really, really cool the way he did that. So definitely
you
something
see
that
Disney do that all the
action.
time too. They'll get like actual actors to come in to do the movements, and sometimes even the exaggerated cartoonish movements to get the flow.
I know there's like a whole like, for when they did Snow White, there's basically like a live action version of it where somebody just did it like in a big empty room, like acting out all the moves, and then they went over it and actually refined the animation.
Yeah, all those cool little tricks that the professionals do is always a great thing to learn.
So for editing, I'm guessing you use, because you said you had that Adobe license. Are you still working with Adobe, or have you moved over to something else?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Premiere.
Even all the crashes, nice.
Luckily, I haven't had a crash in a long time. But every time
your secrets.
Put a lot of money into your computer. Set your autosave to the 3 minutes if you can, 3 to 5 minutes. And I've developed a habit, honestly, of control save. Like every time if I'm not doing something for more than 2 seconds, it's like I don't even think about it anymore. But it still happens. But yeah, the crashes are a pain. But I'm just so used to Premiere that it's kind of like I was tempted to go towards Blackmagic's DaVinci Resolve. I still think as far as an editing software, it needs a little more work. But it's come a long way. Like, if someone who had almost no money wanted to make a feature and they had nothing, I'd be like, buy a Blackmagic camera, because then you also get the full DaVinci Resolve suite where you can edit, color correct, do effects. Like if you learn, and it's for one fee. That's I think the ultimate indie absolutely no budget approach to filmmaking. But I just had already been so adept with Premiere and so familiar with Premiere that this is my go-to. I'm faster in it. I understand it better.
Of course.
I also feel like the new AI tools make editing really fast.
Oh yeah.
It helps you clean up audio for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. What was the plan behind once you got the movie filmed? I saw you started an Indiegogo, right? But the Indiegogo, was it mostly for post-production?
Yes, for post production, because a big reason we were able to even do Dead Hand is the cast and crew. It was a passion project for them. They all agreed to deferred payment. So if the film makes money, enough money, then I'll be able to pay them. But they all understand that sometimes indie films don't make any money. Yeah. So they knew that worst case scenario that they'd at least be getting experience and hopefully a good time out of this. But I spent maybe $6,000 of my own money just to make for the things I did have to pay for production. But just the way a lot of post production people work is they don't really have the time to just give you. So you kind of have to pay them, or at least be able to pay them when they're done. So I had to raise money for that. But yeah, we managed to raise just enough to make it happen.
So what was the total budget?
So total money spent was roughly $15,000.
God damn, man. Yeah, that's like nothing compared to what the movie looks like. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Because so that was you're counting the 6,000 of your own and then the Indiegogo for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on paper, when you add up all the deferred payment, it's more.
Of course.
But yeah, it's still super low budget even with that. So.
For something, like I said, a movie looks way better than that. So, speaking of looks and stuff like that, what if you talk about equipment real quick, what did y'all use to film and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, very long name, and we mainly shot with Rokinon lenses. For those who don't know, they're I don't want to say they're low end, but as far as price goes, they're very low end cinema lenses, but they're geared for cinema. They look pretty good. They're a little soft here and there, and you can definitely tell that some lenses definitely look better. But they can take you a long way, I think. And then for audio, we used what you guys are using, the F6, and I got that because it has a 32-bit float. So like if it goes super quiet or goes really loud, it almost doesn't clip either way. And the reason I got that was I knew half the time I wasn't going to have an experienced audio recorder on set. So I was like, all right, use this setting, but worst case, if you don't understand how to adjust for our volume, I'll be able to recover it in post with this technology. And then just some like LED panels and some very indie stuff. It was before we bought our Fresnels. I wish we had our proper tungsten Fresnels when we shot this, because I could have gotten a little extra, moody with it. But yeah, it was LED panels and some cheap little lights here and there.
Right now, it sounds like I'm just plugging in everything we got. But if you're ever interested, we always rent out the lights, and we got a bunch of tungsten and halogen lights.
Oh, sweet.
Some of them we got them in storage, but we got like some 18K lights and 5K lights.
Well, once I can get this next film off the ground, I'll definitely be talking to you. So.
Absolutely, man, and everything else too. Like, this is not just for you, but out there, regular stuff like that. We what do we shoot on?
We got the 3FS5 cameras. 2 of them are Mark II. We combine them with the Shogun. So nice. We got the Shogun 7. We also have a Ninja Inferno, just if anyone wants to shoot raw with them. And then we do have like a small cameras, the A7S and A7R2.
Nice. And same thing as 4K as well. So we also have a full suite of things. If anybody's looking to hire us for whatever the hell, he's usually the production guy. I'll come along and look pretty. So I'm kidding. I'm also know my way around the camera, stuff like that too. But
we do use cinema lenses. I started off with Rokinon.
Nice.
But I only had bought 2 Rokinons that I was using. And then I ended up finding out about the SLR Magic lenses.
Oh, okay.
So now like almost the entire set of SLR Magic, I have it. So that's my go-to ones. Because for some reason I just like the look of it. I like the look of those lenses. So I kept those, and over the past year, I started investing into anamorphic. So now I do have full frame anamorphics.
Which brand?
The Siru.
Okay,
yeah. So I have the whole set for that one finally.
Very cool. Yeah, I would love to shoot on the Laowa nanomorphs.
Oh yeah, the nanomorphs look nice.
Yeah.
And I think they're the ones that are like rear anamorphic, right?
Maybe. But they also just came out with anamorphic zooms. So.
I'd like to use those, but I saw those are like Super 35, which I mean,
Yeah.
it's good for like every cinema camera is basically a Super 35, but just recently they started coming out with the new like full frame cinema cameras.
Nice.
But I kind of like the look of the full frames a lot.
Yeah. Very cool.
So, back on the movie topic. Sorry, for distraction, whatever.
Oh,
But
you're good.
so now we're talking about all that. You want to get into distribution a bit? Like, how does that work? That's one thing that I've always kind of worried about how that works for distribution and stuff like that. How do you get your movies out to places like this? To, as you said, Google, Amazon, stuff like that. What's the kind of, how much of a pain is that, or is it easy these days?
So luckily, we were able to land distribution with a company called Indie Rights. They're a smaller independent distributor. But honestly, we got with them, and they're kind of handling that side of things. They're the ones who got it up on Amazon, Google Play, YouTube. I think they're aiming for some more platforms. I don't want to say just yet, just because I don't know just yet.
Of course.
But Prime is a big one. So they've been handling that. So that's been a big relief for us. We're still handling a lot of the promotional material on our side. But the fact that they could get out there saves us a lot of time and effort, because for some of those platforms, like, you need to be a distributor or know someone who works there to work your way in, or have a lot of like recognition from festivals or what have you. So if you can get a distributor and make sure that the deal is one, is just all around good, but also fitting for your film, that is a good way to go. There's been some great success stories for like self-distribution, but that's a whole job in itself. So if you can get a distributor, just be sure to read the contract and
Of course.
have people look it over just to be safe, because some people will try to screw you. But Indie Rights has been great so far, so
Nice.
we're happy to work with them.
Hell yeah, man. So affordable, right? Not too bad.
Yeah. So they're they're not really charging us for distribution. Some, depending on some distributors' plans, they typically won't charge you. They'll take it out of what they would offer you. So like some people might offer you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 with the caveat that they're first going to use that money to promote the film or do et cetera, and then you might get what's left over. Or they'll upfront those costs, and before you start making a profit, they have to pay themselves back first. Which, depending on the distributor and depending on the size of your film, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
You got to understand what your film is, and if it's worth that.
Of course.
So it's really a film by film case.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Were you always planning it for straight for distribution, or did you do any film festivals?
Yeah, we did a few film festivals. We got into at least 5 or 6. We were runner-up for Best Comedic Feature at Central Florida Film Festival, and we won Best in the Action Genre at Prison City Film Festival. So we had a few film festivals. That was a first route, because sometimes you can land distribution through that, but we sought distribution ourselves afterwards. So, yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely good to have more eyes on your features, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a small film festival, like any eyes on it definitely help, because these people might go look it up and find it, show it to friends, go buy it, stuff like that. Even if it's not a distribution deal. But that is I think that's honestly how I met Timothy first, was through one of those film festivals.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I don't remember. It was some kind of weird, creepy horror film, like set in like the 1980s or something. No, 1890, something like that. That I first met.
Was it The Resurrectionist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic. Yeah, I was like, dude, this dude's got something, and I'm glad you guys are doing all this. Hopefully one day we'll kind of get to y'all's level with that, because that's kind of the plan here. We all have day jobs, as you do as well, as you said, so we're kind of doing this on the side, but we're all kind of, or at least I'm trying to save up a nest egg to start actually
Very
going
cool.
more into
Yeah.
it. So my favorite genre of movies is actually action comedy. So That's amazing. If you need anything, even for me to hold your fucking water bottle on your next movie, man, let me know. I really want to work on it, just especially if it's action comedy.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Waterboy on set.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah, bro. Worth it. So what's next, man?
Oh man, trying to figure that out. Honestly, I'm working on a new concept. It's like a noir thriller. There'll be some comedic relief, but it'll be a little darker. Aiming to raise an actual budget this time. So I'm sure some of my friends will be down to shoot a film in the same kind of way again, but I don't want to ask them to do that. I want to raise some money, so even if the pay is on the lower end, they're at least getting paid.
Yeah.
Myself included. That would be nice. But yeah, I'll be trying to shoot a concept pitch for it. I don't want to say too much about what it is just yet, but yeah, I'll say it's a noir thriller with some set in present day, but with some anime vibe inspiration. Big fan of Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
So
nice.
I'll say that much. But yeah, it'll have plenty of martial arts action and hopefully some explosions.
Now that you mentioned that, I kind of have to ask.
Yeah, of course.
What was your opinion of the live action Cowboy Bebop?
I'll be honest, I did not get around to watching it.
Okay.
I saw some clips of it, and I'm a big fan of Corridor Digital. And their
fucking love those guys.
Yeah. And they had a review of one of the scenes that I thought was, of the reviews I had seen, was probably the most fair. Because, some people get so defensive, and they're just totally blind to any possible reimagining of anything. But they had a really good filmmaking perspective on it, and how the way they shot it was honestly just really kind of boring storytelling, and I think just from what I have seen of it, I think they did a decent job on like sets and costume, which is not always easy bringing an anime's costumes to life. I thought they did a good job on that though. I haven't seen the Full Metal Alchemist live action. The costumes look great, but from what I've seen of it, it is terrible.
I'm avoiding that one. I've heard it's god awful.
Yeah, the anime is the Brotherhood is one of my favorites. But with this one, it just so I just think I wasn't really motivated.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the Bleach movie's not that bad.
I've heard.
Oh my god, yeah.
I was like, if you didn't know about Bleach and you watched it, I was like, you'd probably like it.
And the Yu Yu Hakusho has been getting good reviews too, and I've seen some fight scenes from that, and they're intense.
I think I told Milos this is what Ricky O aspired to.
Oh my god, yeah. Have you seen Ricky O?
Is that the "You're Free Now"? Is that one or something else?
I don't remember that line, but basically it's really exaggerated. I think the movie punches like a hole through a person, but it's
Nice.
it's also like based on the manga, and it's like from the 1980s.
Oh, fun.
The funniest
Perfect.
thing, the scene opens up with like his girlfriend, and I know, okay, I say funny thing, but I'm about to get into a depressing topic. Warning, whatever. This movie starts off with his girlfriend killing herself by jumping off a building, and they literally just throw a fucking mannequin to just face
Oh,
plants
no.
on the ground. It's fantastic. Sometimes stuff like that, just like, so that movie is, it's actually decent, but the bad things make it even better.
Yeah,
So it's not like one of those, it's like,
it's rare when bad stuff
unwatchable.
actually makes it better.
Yeah. So that movie was decent by itself, but the bad stuff, yeah, absolutely. The gore effects, oh my god.
Oh,
man.
nice.
Like,
I was like, you could see the ambition behind it, and like Yu Yu Hakusho realized it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because they even have a big transformation too in Yu Yu Hakusho, just like in
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Rikyo.
watch the full thing. It looks cool.
So definitely recommend Rikyo if you like a bad action.
Over the top.
Yeah, definitely over the top.
Nice.
They went they were very faithful to the source material, so it's very gruesome. They try to make it as gruesome as the actual manga panels, like you
My
were
wife
saying.
probably won't join me for that one, but
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, but it's just so funny because they went over the top, so much over the top with all that shit, and it's great. But speaking of other live actions, I also, I guess my thoughts on the Cowboy Bebop one. I enjoyed it. Definitely not as much as the actual show,
Yeah, of course.
but I'm a big fan of John Cho, the main actor. I feel like he was really good in it. I just feel like he was miscast.
Yeah.
Like I could not see him as Spike, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like he did great for what he did, but he was not the right person for the role.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's kind of, unfortunately, did it for me. But the Avatar one, same kind of problem. Like
Yeah.
that one actually the problem was writing.
Yeah, I've heard it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
Hopefully they listen to the audience for seasons 2 and 3. I haven't watched it yet just because once again reviews. Yeah.
Every character from the Fire Nation, perfection.
Nice.
Like they did them justice. The main characters,
Interesting.
just
yeah.
the writing is not there, especially for the Water Tribe people.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but otherwise, like, looks great, looks really good. Some changes are made, which are not bad.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes shows make changes, and you'll be like,
Yeah.
like the One Piece one.
I mean,
did you watch that one?
for what they did to condense it, it's
Yeah.
all right.
Did you watch
It's like
One
an
Piece?
intro.
The One Piece one?
Oh man.
No.
I just can't get into One Piece.
Oh, that's fine.
The live action though does make it a little more appealing because don't hate me for this. The animation style of One Piece is a big barrier for me.
Yeah,
it is
same.
for a lot of people. It is
Yeah.
for a lot of people. One of my good friends said the same thing for the longest time, and then he got into a depression, and I'm like, bro, just watch One Piece; it'll cure your depression, and he cured his depression.
Nice.
But but that was like his biggest thing was like, I don't like the animation, and now it's literally like his favorite anime of all time.
Interesting.
So I was like, I told you, man, like it's good. It's just, but
Did you see that they're rebooting the anime?
yeah,
Even though the original anime is still ongoing.
yep, that's so weird.
But
That's so weird. But no, one of the things I'll just hit on a story beat real quick in that, in the live action. So they make the main character too strong, which I don't like.
Yeah.
So like in the anime, he'll go when he's fighting these like main bosses and stuff.
Mhm.
Like the main character does get beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
In the live action, nowhere near as much. I'm like, that sucks. Like
Yeah.
have the dude like
Mhm.
bounce back because it's basically fucking rubber, right? But no, yeah. Well, sorry, kind of.
I don't think it's gotten to
shit.
any of the big bosses where he actually gets hurt.
He gets fucked up by Arlong. He gets like scratched up by Kuro like crazy, stuff like that. The Dawn Creek battle, he gets the beginning arcs. He gets beat up quite a bit.
The only one I remember where he gets beat up a lot is with Crocodile.
Well, yeah, Crocodile
Because
is
he almost
insane.
gets killed there.
Yeah, that one's insane. I can't wait to watch that live action of that one. That's gonna be nice. That's coming out season 2 pretty
But
soon.
I used to not be able to get into it, but I had my brother Omar. He's always like, "You gotta watch One Piece. You gotta watch One Piece." So I finally watched it, but I just couldn't get into it because of the animation either.
Yeah.
But it's good, and I'm like 700 episodes in.
Are you watching One Piece or One Piece? Because One Piece is like where it just takes out all the filler.
No, One Piece.
Nice. Do not skip Skypia. Do not. Everybody skips that arc, but that arc is so central and important to the actual story further on. Don't skip it. I know you want to, but don't skip it.
Did you ever watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged?
Of course.
Yeah.
I love those guys. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So they were. Did they move down to Austin or are they still up here? I know they were like local here for a bit.
Last I heard, they're still here.
Yeah.
Takahata is still out of Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, those guys are good. Helsing Abridged, perfection.
I still need to watch
Amazing.
that one. I want to watch the original first so I can get the jokes.
Mhm.
But yeah.
It's a great show. I remember watching that was painful, like the real one, because it would literally take 6 monmonths between episodes to come out.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So you just watch, you're like, okay, well, shit, I guess I'll just go live my life. This sucks. I don't want to. And then sometimes it even took a year between episodes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Come on, man. But yeah, that show is really good.
How's battery on that one?
Oh, we're still good. Hey, hell yeah.
We're kind of worried about the battery on the last camera, but it's holding on.
I was a dumbass and forgot to bring my full battery.
It happens.
We're 50 minutes in.
Hey.
It should be like another 20 minutes.
Okay. Oh, well, since we're getting close to the end, would you tell us maybe what's one of your favorite experiences in filmmaking or one of your worst experiences?
One of my worst experiences. Let's start there, so we can do the better experience next. The positive of this worst experience is it kind of wormed my way into how I met the agency I used to be with. So that was cool. I ended up getting representation as an actor through it in a way. But I won't say names just to be nice. But I got cast as the lead in this short film, so it felt very exciting. They were like, the director and his friend were super excited, like, oh, we finally got the guy. We could finally make this film that we've been trying to for a while. I was like, sweet, this feels awesome. I'm 19 and I get this lead role. And almost every day we met up to shoot was a nightmare. There were key factors in the storyline. I had to be like, hey, director, I need this prop in this shot, otherwise the rest of the film won't make sense. And he was like, you're right, let me go grab it for you. And then another time, it's like I had to yell at him across this river. It's like this ravine in like Las Colinas, because he was filming from that side. And I was like, what are we doing here? And he was like, I don't know. Let me think. I left my director's binder at home. And so we kind of had to make up on the spot. And then another time we had this whole argument on the phone. Basically me telling, like, getting to this point of like, dude, like you're never focused. You're always messing up the shots. Like, we got to finish this soon. And he was like, it's going to be all right. And he had the nerve to be like, you don't understand what it takes to make a short film. So I was like, one, don't ever say that to me again. And two, like, I'm going to be a professional and help you finish this short film. So I'll see you tonight, I guess. And that night, the drive was like legit an hour, 40 minutes out to this location. And this call was all about him not being prepared. So I get to the location and he walks up to me and goes, hey, so the security guard just came up to me and says we can't film here. And I told him we're allowed to. And so he asked, well, where's your permit? And I forgot the permit. But a teacher said we could shoot here. And so he asked me, well, who is the teacher? And I forgot the teacher's name. So he's kicking us out. And I was just like, okay, bye. And turned around and drove an hour and 40 minutes back home. It was just a total mess. So that's probably the worst experience I had. Best experience, it's hard to nail down just one. Just honestly being on set with everyone is a great time. It's just like this like really tight, I don't want to say family or community, the cliche stuff, but everyone just kind of becomes fast friends for however long the shoot is, and it's just a intense, grueling but fun experience. So I have friends who hate being on set. They prefer the post-production process, but I think being on set is honestly one of my favorite parts.
Every time I go, I grumble and hate it, and then every time I finish, I'm like, I want some more.
Yeah.
Every single time. But that experience he was talking about, the bad one, reminds me of Make High. Just saying.
Yeah.
we had a project where it didn't get finished because one of the actors just ended up like not showing up after.
I almost had that one time. Yeah.
Yeah. The director. At that time he's a lot better now, but at the time he would come with like his dead battery would be dead. I'm like, oh, god damn it.
Man.
So we'd
And
have be charging batteries on set and then film as much as we could before one died and switch it out.
Yeah. And
but we did a lot of stuff on there that was DIY.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
I can't get the word out. But we would do a bunch of just rigging stuff up. We got this electrical, what is it, like, it was some poles that had like an electrical box on it to make a slider.
Okay.
So we were using it. It was like a friend's, but we didn't have like a head or anything so we could mount the camera and tilt it. So what we ended up doing is we had two cameras. We put one camera on there. Then we put like the little attachment that holds the light.
The hot shoe, yeah.
The hot shoe. We put it on there, and then we put the other camera on top. So we had something we can move it around with.
I remember he had to shoot off the balcony, so he strapped himself in with
a bungee cord.
Yeah, bungee cords.
We tied him to a bungee cord from the balcony so he could get his shot.
That was very scary. My favorite part, I hurt my ankle or knee, I think. I don't remember what it was. Really bad during the shoot, and I was doing audio. So I was just like laying on when we were doing a kitchen scene, I was just laying on the couch, looking over, just like...
just with the boom pole.
Yeah, with the boom pole down. Yeah. And we had our guy who was supposed to play the alcoholic, method actor, so we bought him 40s every day. Michael, rest in peace, actually died of alcohol poisoning, so fitting, I guess. Great guy, was a great guy, but no, yeah, that production just kind of went to shit. Well, somewhat, a little bit because of him, but then also very much because of the actress, because she quit. We were pretty close. I think we needed like maybe 1 or 2 more shoot days to finish, but there was like the key scenes, and we just didn't.
Yeah.
So all I have now is just the intro of it, and that's okay. But it happens.
I've also been on set where the director almost doesn't know what he's doing, or he doesn't have anything planned out. I don't know how you convince people to like give you money for something you have no clue what you're doing.
Yeah.
Charisma, bro. Charisma. I need that in my life.
But at one point, like the guy that brought me on to a project, he was running camera, and then like there were like two other actors that were helping out do choreography and stuff, and they were also playing a couple characters. But they basically ended up taking over the set so they could get it done. And then the director was gone for the last couple scenes that they were doing. Apparently, he was like rewriting the ending script, and so he was gone. And everyone's like, "So what are we gonna do?" And they're like, "I don't know, but let's just shoot these so we could get these done before the end of the day." So like the other guys took over the set and started directing the film themselves.
Oh wow.
And when the director finally came out to like kind of direct, he couldn't express what he wanted. So he made the actor do like one scene, just say the lines differently. He's like, no, say it a little differently. But he couldn't tell him like how he exactly wanted it. And he would like repeat the lines for him.
Oh no.
And then like the actor would say them the way he said it. And he's like, no, it doesn't sound right. You got to do it again. But he did it like 20 times.
That's
and
funny.
it was over and over. And
Yeah, that's wild.
that was like one of those experiences where like the director was like the least experienced person on set.
I remember.
Reminds me of Lucas. George Lucas. What so many actors are like, can we do it with a more energy? That's like his go-to direction apparently.
Oh, he's very vague, but George Lucas kind of knows what he's going for.
Yeah, he's a great idea man. He's a great producer.
I think that's why after the first Star Wars, all the other Star Wars movies, he would just hire the directors, but he would still oversee everything. So he was very he micromanaged everything, but he let like other people direct it.
Yeah.
And I think I've had the most fun on shoots where I was a producer, where I just get everything together, because that kind of puts me a little bit out of the stress of directing. But I think shooting Pappy, which was a short film we did, like 8 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
That one is probably my favorite. We did a full overnight shoot in Denton. I ended up finding locations, finding actors, finding everything. So doing the kind of logistical things was actually really fun for me. So I think I might kind of, because same as you, I always wanted to be into movie making, directing, stuff like that. And I just realized directing may not be for me. So
yeah, that's fair.
But so that's what I'm gonna try to focus on. We can move forward is more producing, because that full shoot was just so much fun. Even with all the hiccups and everything.
How about yourself? Really, like, what was their biggest challenge being the leader, like in that whole set? The whole time you were there.
Man, I was focused on so many things. It's hard to think of what the biggest challenge was. Honestly, just I don't know really. The accent was probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was an interesting decision. Timothy gave me the idea to not just be Irish American but Irish, and I was like, yeah, that's a cool idea. So I got my friend Daniel McCullagh, who has honestly no relation to me, but he lives in North Dublin. So I was like, teach me your accent. So it's good enough that my Irish friends are like, yeah, it's passable, and they'll recognize that I'm going for a North Dublin accent. So it's like, okay, cool. At least it's good enough for that. But I'm not going to do an accent again unless I've had like 4 to 5 months of practice with it and a dialect coach on set. And also like Timothy made me do an accent for the Ghost Lights. And he also made me wear jeans and cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. I was like, God damn it, Timothy. I hate all these things.
Was there ever a time where you just got off set and you're just like, okay, I'm myself, but you ended up catching yourself talking in that accent, like outside set?
Yeah, because I also study the Irish language. So every now and then I'll have a little like Irish lilt in a word here and there.
Okay, cool.
And my wife will point it out to me. I'm not mad about it. I like it. But yeah, it'll sneak up on me here and there.
So I guess we were gonna finish, but I want to ask one more kind of important question. How do you like, or what challenges do you find in being an actor as well as director in a scene? Because you're not always watching everything from behind since you're in the scene. How do you find that challenge?
Yeah, I just have to be able to trust the cam ops and cinematographer, because I'm a very visual director. So some directors, they'll kind of almost hand off the visuals completely to the DP. Like agree on an image, like a style, but they'll be like, yeah, we'll just shoot it. I'll work with the actors, but I write so much from the visuals I see in my head. So I'll start behind the camera. I'll get the shot I want and in the direction I want, and then after that, I kind of have to let it go while I'm in the scene. And if we have time, I'll review it. But if it's a booked day, like I'll have to be like, all right, you just have to tell me when we got it, and then we got to move on. So it's just about trusting. I wouldn't do. I'd have to. It has to be someone I know I can work with. So,
Of course, yeah. So you would do it again, but with somebody you trust.
Oh, I'm definitely going to do it again for the rest of my career.
Acting and directing.
Acting, directing, yeah. For better or worse, what's his name? There's a famous actor who does it all the time. He's been doing the Hercule Poirot films. Kenneth Branagh. He acts and directs in all of his films, except for Thor. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing just kind of not in a bad way, not in a bad way, by the way. The way I call this movie is you Tommy Wiseau the shit out of it, because actor, director, editor, everything is you. I'm like, that's fucking gold, and it actually turned out really, really fucking amazing.
Well, thank you.
So, any other closing thoughts you want to go through, or should we go to plugging?
No, right now just plug in where people could follow you and find out what you're working on.
Yeah, so you can follow our company page, spectrograph_films on Instagram. We'll be posting a lot of updates about the movie and other projects we do there too. You can also follow me personally, John FM Films, on Instagram there too. And check out Dead Hand on Amazon Prime.
Cool. Hell yeah. Links below. We'll have the Amazon Prime link here. And then also in the description, we'll put the links to Google and whatever other places you said it will be.
And one last point. If you enjoy the film, even moderately so, the biggest way to help the production is once you're done watching it on Prime, even if it's a simple, I liked it, leave a written review. That's going to be the biggest thing that helps this project.
Absolutely, man. Yep. And it is relatively cheap. You can buy it for, I think, like, $10. You can rent it for like $3. So really nothing, not too expensive at all for a really, really good time. Would definitely suggest,
great action.
if you have a night with some friends, watch it. It's a really fun movie to watch, even by yourself, but even more fun with other people, I would say. So yeah, man, thank you so much for being on. I wish we would talk more about the production company, but that fucking whatever.
Oh, that's
fine. We might, sequel baiting, right? Sequel baiting.
There you go.
Sequel baiting. We might have you back on again through All Stars Edition. But yeah, thank you again so much for being on. Check out the movie. It's fucking awesome. My name's Milos Bukic, George Manuel, and John Francis McCullagh. Thank you all so much. And Caesar behind the camera. I forgot. We got to mention the best homie over there. Thanks so much for watching. Follow us, follow him, all the good shit. See y'all. Bye.